What's up and welcome to My Point of View. I am your fat and opinionated host, and slowly but surely, information continues to trickle out about Bryan Kohberger, the Idaho 4 suspect that was arrested earlier this morning. We've seen photos. We now know what he went to school for. He was studying criminology. We know about the creepy Reddit post and how he was conducting surveys trying to figure out the best way to get away with the crime. We've seen where he lived. We know where he was caught, but we do not know much about Bryan Kohberger as a person. And I think all of us have a lot of questions. And now people are starting to speak out. Someone who knew Bryan Kohberger actually uploaded this video to TikTok not that long ago. I want you all to watch this video because it will give you a better idea of who Bryan Kohberger is. I'm not going to say it will give you a better idea of why he may have committed these crimes, but I do find the information that was revealed in this video very interesting. So let's go ahead and check that out. Then I'll be right back with some thoughts.
Something like this up. I am just in absolute shock right now. I was heading to lunch when my mom called me, and immediately I knew something was off because I have the type of family that we don't call each other. So if someone does call someone, we know something's bad. She called me and asked me about the murders. I didn't know where she was going with it until she said that it was Bryan Kohberger, and naturally I freaked out and called about 8 of my friends. My brother was really good friends with him. My other friend, Brandon, was really good friends with him. I'm going to have a picture of him with him on the green screen as well. I'm shaking still. But anyway, let me show you. This is Brandon, the one I was just talking about. It's his wife, Brianna, and that's me. This was back in 2017. Obviously, that's Bryan. Still has the dead face that... It's the eyes. I don't know. But when I spoke to him back in 2017, he was clean. He was a heavy heroin user back in high school. And it was just nice to see the kid clean up. And at that time, he said he was doing security detail. I believe it was out of school is what he told me. But he seemed like he was better. Obviously, that wasn't true. Here's another picture from a party that we had at Brandon's house. That's Bryan there. He used to be a bigger kid as well. But again, that's him. And then at the same wedding, I'm here, but he's back there. He was sitting at the same table as me and my mother. But he is back there enjoying a drink. I was sitting right next to him. We talked. He seemed fine. My mom sent me the old school yearbook. That was him. Bryan Kohberger, that's him. He went to Pleasant Valley. Graduated with, I think, my friend Christopher, a year younger than me. This is when he nonchalantly decided to make me drive him around the Poconos for heroin, and I had no idea. I thought I was just doing a nice deed because he needed something, and it turns out that he was getting heroin. Sorry, my voice is shaking. I might make a part 2. I probably have to. I don't have a 6-minute feature. I only have a 3-minute feature. I also talk really fast, so I'm sorry.
Okay, so I think the obvious piece of information that a lot of people are going to cling on to is the information about his use of certain substances. Now, looking at the guy, knowing that he was going to college, and, I didn't peg him as a junkie. I know a lot of people are going to cling to this and they'll think, hey, maybe this is why he did this crime. Maybe he was all jacked up on something and he did something crazy. And I'm not saying that's far-fetched, but I just don't want that to be an easy excuse as to why he did this. Looking at his past, looking at what he was doing in school, looking at those Reddit posts, I can't help but tie that together with what he is accused of doing. When you got someone that's studying criminal justice, criminology, you got someone who seems to be fascinated with how the criminal mind works. You have someone who was on social media, and instead of talking about the normal things we talk about on social media, he was doing these surveys, supposedly for school research, trying to figure out how criminals think and what they did in the process of committing crimes. And he was just taking in what looks to me like all types of information, trying to process, trying to gather data to figure out how he could get away with this. So to just chalk this up to, oh, this is just some junkie that had a problem with a certain substance, and that's why he did this, I think this is far more elaborate than that. I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. This is just my opinion. But, I mean, if this was just some random junkie that did something spur of the moment while he was on something, how did he manage to pull this off? He managed to quietly sneak into someone's home and kill 4 people while other people were still in the house unaware that this was even happening. I personally, at this moment, I don't know. We need more details. I'm not convinced that he knew who these people were, but I am convinced that he knew that one day he was going to do something like this. And also, anything is possible. But often people who commit heinous crimes like this, there's a pattern. There are signs there throughout their life that they may be capable of doing something like this. And for someone's first ever crime to be something like what happened to those 4 students, I mean, I guess there's a first time for everything. But I am interested in finding out if there has been other situations before this one. I can't help but feel that like there may have been something else that happened with this guy before what happened with those students. Maybe he harmed an animal. Maybe it was another human being. I hope they are exploring those avenues, because people like this who are capable of doing things like this, there's no telling what they're capable of. And, you know, I've seen a lot of people talking about how, look at the guy, you would never know. You could be sitting in a room with him and you would never suspect that he was someone like this. He looks like just your average run-of-the-mill guy. And I have to question myself, like, are we looking at the same photo? When I look at this photo, I don't see, I guess, what other people see. I'm not trying to talk about his appearance, but I guess it's all in the eyes for me. Maybe I'm able to see things that other people aren't able to see. I'm not saying that I'm like a psychic or I have special powers, but I feel like I'm able to spot a nutcase when I look in their eyes. And I mean, this happens all the time on my main channel. I'll point out, hey, this person may be going through a mental health crisis, or this person's doing this. It's all in the eyes for me. And this dude's eyes tell it all, in my opinion. In my opinion, you know, I guess some people will interpret that in different ways. And some people are like, what do you mean? Well, look at you. Well, blah, 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 blah. Look at this dude's eyes. I'm telling you, man. It's something about these crazies. It's something about this dead look in their eyes. It's like this lifeless look. When you look someone in the eyes, I don't know, maybe this isn't the experience that other people have. When I personally look people in the eyes, I see more than just eyeballs. It's like the windows to the soul. You've ever heard that saying, eyes are the window to the soul? I can look in someone's eyes and often tell if they're lying. I can look in someone's eyes and tell if they've been through a lot, or if they're sad, or if they're having a long day. The eyes tell a lot, and maybe a lot of people aren't able to see that or read through that. I don't know. But looking at this dude and looking at his eyes, looks like a dude that's been up for days. He's dead behind the eyes, kind of like a shark. And he definitely looks like someone that would do something like this. So everyone's like, this guy doesn't look like he would do. He looks exactly like someone who would do something like this, in my opinion. But hey, that's just my opinion. And that's what we do over here on this channel. We share our opinions. So share your opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and always remember to remain opinionated.